All right, and we're on.
Whoa.
Say hello.
Hello, everyone. What's going on?
We were just talking about. So I'm here with Artie, right? And Artie Rony,
Yep.
which is weird because like when I look at your Instagram, it's Rony, but it is just Rony, right?
Yep, just Ronnie.
Yeah. And then we're talking about your first name, and I was like, so is your first name just Artie? And he's like, no, it's like 12 letters long. And it's like, okay. So I'll try and pronounce this. Rahadiansyah.
That's right.
Okay.
That's it.
Yep.
You got it.
Does it mean anything?
Not sure. Don't think so.
Okay.
I know Rahadian's a typical Indonesian name. Guess my parents just add on the Shah bit at the end.
Yep. Okay.
Yeah.
And so, were you born here? Or?
Yeah.
Yep. Okay. Do you know how your parents made it here?
Oh, I know a little bit about it. I know my dad came to Australia first. He started out in Western Australia.
Okay.
Made his way through to Sydney. I think from what I've heard, my dad started out as a mechanic.
Okay.
And then he went back to Indonesia, and then he met my mum, married her, and then brought her over here.
Okay.
And they set up in Randwick.
In Randwick.
Yeah.
Okay. So did you when you were young, did you grow up in Randwick as well?
East Lakes.
East Lakes.
Mascot, yeah.
Okay. All right. We'll get into that. So I guess so how I know Artie is from martial arts again. So a lot of my guests obviously come from martial arts, but Artie trains jiu-jitsu at the same place that I train at Integrated Combat Center with Dave and Steve. And, there's a couple of things that I thought were kind of interesting that I wanted to obviously get Artie on to talk about. So Artie's been working on obviously some shirts, some apparel, and we're rocking that apparel right here.
Crisp, baby.
Yep. And the other thing was that I thought was interesting was that at one stage I think my wife and your wife were doing F45 at the same time.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
So there was that link as well. So so I thought it'd be funny for us to sort of catch up and chat a little bit more. And we were just talking just before. There's a few funny stories that we'll bring up, I guess. But let's sort of wind it all back, and before we get into the apparel and what you do for a day job and things like that. So you grew up in East Lakes.
Yep.
And any brothers and sisters?
I got 3 younger brothers. I'm the oldest.
You're the oldest.
Yeah.
Okay. And the oldest by a lot or just a little bit?
Just a little bit. I think my brother's. Oh God, you got me. I can't. I'm terrible with ages. I think my brother's 2 years underneath me. 1986.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. That's not too bad.
Yeah, it's all right. And then I got another one, a couple years, and then the last one's I think is 10 years younger than me.
10 years younger.
Yeah.
So that's a big age gap.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I guess what would be like your earliest memory growing up?
Oh God, I don't know. Hey.
Do you remember anything about the place that you lived?
Oh yeah, massively. I always drive whenever we try to go out every second Saturday. Like we go hang out in the city, me and the kids and Selena.
Yep.
And I always try to make it a thing to drive past our family house, like our old place.
Yep.
Just to to go down memory lane a little bit.
Yep.
Yeah, like just hanging out at East Lakes Park, playing basketball, just hanging out with the boys at the bus stop, meeting. Just.
Yep. Okay. Was with 3 younger brothers? Was it a very did you guys fight a lot?
Yes and no. I think with my youngest brothers, number 3 and 4, not really.
Yep.
But me and my second brother, we would heaps. And I think there was. I remember my uncle brought it up to me once. The last time we ever fought was I locked myself. I zipped myself up in a sleeping bag.
Okay.
Yeah, and my brother got a plank of wood, and he just smacked me across the shins, and I just died. I just died. I was just like, ah. And then we fought for a little bit, and I think that was the last time we ever had that was like our biggest fight. That was it.
Okay.
But yeah, I think that's the last time we ever.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's always funny. Like when I think back on my childhood home. So my family lived in St. Clair up until I was about 10, and then we moved to Balcombe Hills or Crestwood. And one of the things that I remember was that my brother's 7 years older than me.
Whoa.
And like I've got some very happy memories in that home too, because I remember once, having a brother that was 7 years older. Once I think we were in his we were like both in his bed under the covers, and we were just like, he was telling me stories and things like that. And so they're kind of nice memories. And then I've also got this memory of there used to be like these cactuses that were outside the windows of the house. And then one time my brother like threw this sidekick and kicked me, and I went through the glass and my ass hit the cactuses. And, obviously that was quite painful, and my mum had to, pull out all these pins from my butt. But like these are the kinds of, like when I think back on childhood, like I remember some of these things.
Yeah.
And I remember like my brother also, he made this crossbow. Like it was like all it was like shouldn't be telling people how to make weapons, but it was like a chair leg with another bit of wood. And then he put 2 nails in it for rubber bands to go.
Yeah.
And he had like 2 other nails as crosses to sort of line up the skewer. And we used to like, he used to pull it back and then you shoot the skewer. And it was that powerful that it could actually like hit through a wall, like stab into the wall. So yeah, that's just some of the things that I remember.
And you're bringing back so many things. Like, speaking of pushing, like our house that we grew up in East Lakes was a fibro house. And I just remember me and my brother just pushing and shoving. I can't remember who ended up in the wall.
Yep.
And it just causing a massive hole. And it was, oh, shit.
And how did your parents respond?
Yeah, nah, it wasn't good.
No, it never is good.
No. It was huge. Oh, my God. It's just making me remember like all the fights that we had. I remember, speaking of sidekick, I remember throwing a roundhouse at my brother. Can't remember, couldn't tell you what happened, why it started. And like a latch lock on your door.
Yep.
Yeah, so I threw the roundhouse kick at my brother, and then like there was a lock by the door. My foot hit the door, and then like it just took a chunk out of like a little chunk out of my foot. I was just like, oh my God.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
All right. So I guess from a parenting perspective, right? Like, were your parents pretty relaxed, or were they working all the time, or were they?
Well, just my dad.
Just your dad?
Yeah, growing up, it was just my dad.
Yep.
And then I think as we got older, I think by the time we got to high school, my mum started working.
Yep.
Yeah, that's about it. But I was pretty relaxed. We grew up like in I wouldn't say it was fully strict, but it was a Asian Muslim household kind of thing. Like, yeah. So it's like, don't do that. It's a sin. It's bad.
Yep. Okay. So did you have to go to mosque and things like that?
Yeah.
From an early age? And then like, how did they sort of introduce you to that? Do you remember, or was it just always a part of life?
It was just always a part of life.
Yep.
Yeah. I think like I remember. Yeah. No, I couldn't tell. It was just always a part of life. Earliest memory is like my grandma was always around she'd visit every few years, and then like she'd kind of instill that as well. So yeah, it was just always there.
Yep. So because like generally for Muslims, it's conducted in Arabic, right?
Yeah.
So can you speak Arabic?
Oh, it's been a while, but I can read a little bit of the Quran.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then at home, did you guys speak Bahasa, or did you speak English?
Indo-English.
Indo-
my mum would speak Indonesian. Me and my brothers would reply in English. My dad would speak in English and Indonesian.
Okay.
Yeah. And then like in our household now, like I'll throw in a couple Indo words here and there, and like my kids, they don't get it, like they don't understand. And like I think in that, like right now, it's like I got me speaking Indonesian. Selena is Laotian, so yeah, it's just I know we always talk about how we're gonna introduce like Indo or Lao to the kids. Like I remember I was like, right, Sundays we speak Indonesian, Saturdays we speak Lao, and like nothing came into fruition.
How does that work? Can you speak Laos as well?
No.
Okay, so you're just trying to get...
Yeah, so it's just like we'll all kind of like dedicate a day like on the Lao day. Me and like we'll try and speak Lao. Like if we have to look up something, just Google it or whatever.
Yeah, Google Translate.
Yeah, that's it. And then on Sundays we do the same thing, but like it just never happened.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Look, I think languages is one of those things. It's hard. Like we try and speak Chinese to our kids, and even with Cadence, like you get to this point where her Chinese was quite good, and then we started to get a bit worried about her English because obviously she's at preschool and things like that, and she's not very good at articulating.
Mm-hmm.
And so, you know, you start to think, are we impacting her development, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then now it's like, you know, we're trying to go back the other way and speak more Chinese to her because, like, wow, her English has just suddenly had this massive improvement this year. And it's like, oh, we need to get her Chinese back up to scratch. Because otherwise, for our third kid, you know, the other two are going to be speaking English because even Harley, like, you know, his Chinese is really good, but like he just picks up everything that his sister says. Yeah. Right. So then he just, you know, grabs English so fast as a result of it. And then, you know, by the stage he goes to preschool, he's probably not going to want to speak Chinese either. And so then Eden, you know, she'll just get the raw end of the stick where she's never really been as exposed to it as the other two. Mm-hmm. So it's so hard. But at the same time, you know, I think sometimes, especially in Australia, like the kids, they might want to go back to it anyway at some point, right? Whether it's like, you know, if they get to go overseas and visit family and things like that, that might spur them to then go, I should actually try and learn some of this language and learn more about the culture and things like that. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I think about that as well. Like I, not with the way everything's going now with COVID and stuff, but like I think Indonesia's the last place I want to take them. But eventually, like I'd love for them to go visit there with me and like me, Selena, and the kids, just to go there for a little bit. I think the last time I went to Indonesia was when my brother got married, and that was like 10 years ago. Jeez. Yeah. That's so ages. So, which, like, do you have family still over there? Yeah, just aunties and uncles and stuff like that. Like just like here I live with my, well, I don't live with my mum and dad are here. Yep. Yeah. Okay. And my brothers are, well, not most of my brothers. I got one brother living in the UK at the moment. Okay. Yeah. Just working there, or? Yeah. I mean, he got stuck there for a little bit. Yep. But now he's can't find a way home. Like I think he's something about like flights being limited or something. Yeah. They only accept a certain amount. Yeah. So then you got to do the quarantine thing, and well, I don't know. The rules are always changing, so it's really hard to sort of know exactly what's going on. Yeah. So okay. So school wise, what primary school did you go to? Gardeners Road Public. Gardeners Road Public. Yeah, just out in Rosebery, and I went to high school in Randwick. Okay. And so in primary school, like what kind of kid would you describe yourself as? I was a chubby kid. Yeah. I was the chubby kid. Yeah. Yeah. I was a fat kid. Yeah. I was a fat kid in school. And was it just like, you know, like I sometimes it's genetics, right? Like I haven't seen your parents, so I don't know what your parents look like, right? But or was it a combination of genetics and food, or was it just food? Genetic. Well, not food. I'd say it would be food. Yeah. You know, like being Asian, like I have to have rice with everything. Like it's still right now. Like I can't like with the amount of fried chicken I eat, like I can't have it with I can't just have the chips and the chicken, man. I gotta have the rice too. Like, I just like I buy like I have the wicked wings and like have the hot chips there. I'm like, nah, I can't. I just gotta have a bit of rice. Yeah, tell Selena to cook some rice so we can have KFC. You know, and then we try the brown rice thing. I was like, no, I gotta have the jasmine. Yeah, it's not the same. Yeah, white rice actually, it does. It's got a nicer texture. Yeah, you know, brown rice just feels a bit dry. It's like I'm cheating. It's an acquired taste. Like I think when Ange and I, when we were dating, her family would eat a lot of brown rice as opposed to white rice. I think it's more of a health thing. Right? So, but over time I got used to it. You know, like it's a different texture. Yeah, you just sort of adjust, and then it didn't really bother me anymore. You know, but at the start I was like, rice? This isn't rice. This is like this is lies. Yeah, it's grains. Well, I guess rice is a grain, right? But anyway, okay. And so, like, in primary school, was there many other? Would there be many Indonesian kids? No. It's me and my brothers. I mean, it was semi-multicultural. It was multicultural-ish. Like it's not like there was Asians there. We had Chinese kids there. We had a lot of Greek guys, Turkish people. A lot of them in East Lakes. But yeah, it was all right. But yeah, there wasn't any other Indos. Yep. Yeah. Okay. And then I guess being the bigger kid, did other kids pick on you for that, or? Yeah, that was Yeah. Yeah, that was always fun. Yeah. So what did you like? Would you get into any fights over it, or? I was weak. I just cried. Yeah. Yeah. And then, so I guess, did you ever mention that to your parents, or? Not that I recall of. Like
you know, like that generation is like, oh, I'm like, you got to man up a bit. Like they just told me to tell a teacher and stuff like that. It's like, it doesn't work.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I guess that's kind of why, like, growing up, having gone through that, I wanted my kids to do martial arts.
Yep.
That amongst other things. But I knew that if they had that, then hopefully they don't feel powerless if they ever got picked on and stuff.
Yep.
Yeah. I guess it's kind of why, not that I push them into it, it's just something that I want them to keep doing until they get older.
Yep.
Yeah.
Look, I personally think it's important for everyone to have had some experience in martial arts. I think, it doesn't lead to them being bullies. I think if anything, if you can get your aggression out, then it's a good way to actually allow them to control their energy. You know, and like I as an adult, like I sort of, for my kids, I view it the same way. Like I want my kids to do martial arts. For the girls, I want them to be able to defend themselves, because the times that they're going to get in trouble is most likely going to be in like a one-on-one situation with probably a man.
Oh, bro,
right?
100%.
Yep. And then for my son, probably a bit rougher on him, because one day I want him to be able to protect his family, like that, and that's part of the reason why I do martial arts. Right? Like I want to be able to protect my family and feel confident that I could protect my family. I know not everybody thinks that way, and to some that's like it's a barbarian route, but it gives you a confidence that you wouldn't otherwise have.
Oh my god, 100%. Like having trained, like, I mean, I'm not a pro or anything, like having trained a bit, like, yeah, it gives you something. Like it's just like, I wish a motherfucker would. You know what I mean? Like what? Yeah, but nah, 100%. Like I think, oh god, I can't remember who shared the video, but there's one video, and I was just like, yeah, nah, that's it. My girls have to do jiu-jitsu. It was it was this. I swear I can't remember. I wish I could remember who shared it, but like this video popped up on my feed somewhere. Anyway, the video was this huge sleazy guy tries to pick up a young girl at a bar. Like this guy is huge. I think they, like, in the video they made it a thing to make him like tower, tower over this girl. Being a real sleazeball, whatever. And then like in the video, like it looks like she's leaning in for a kiss or to make out with him or whatever, but she's actually grabbing collars. Yeah. So she's like leaning into the guy. She's grabbing like the back collar. She's getting the other one, and then like he's all like, oh, like I'm about to score with this chick. Yeah. And then like she leans in close and she pulls. Yeah. And she just chokes the guy out, and then he passes out, and she puts him on the bar. She walks away. I was like, fuck, like, yeah, that's it. No, I saw that video. I was like,
girls, you going to jiu-jitsu?
My girls have to do jiu-jitsu. And then like whenever someone's like, oh, is it good for your kids? Like, do you think my daughter should do it? I go, and let me find this video for you. I'll share this video. Yeah, it was a great video. It was yeah. I just always think of that. I was like, yeah, I think that was kind of like the catalyst. I was like that got me to sign up my eldest at ICC. Yep. Yeah.
No, look, I think it's a great thing for kids. It teaches them coordination. And like I said, I think the confidence factor is probably the key thing. Having that confidence, like you carry that through to other aspects of your life. My wife sometimes she gets upset with me because my kids are always fighting, right? Like they're always. So that Cadence and Harley, they just nonstop. Like it'll be like one sitting on the other or choking the other or whatever, and then sometimes it'll be like, look, I don't mind if they're grappling, but then when like Harley will start punching, and then it's like, okay, look, we're gonna lay off the punches. It's okay, if you're on top or whatever, and I'll start coaching. Like I'll go into coach mode. I'll be like, okay, get this knee through, swim this, do that, right? and then it's like, when he gets stuck on the bottom, he'll start crying, and I'll be like, no, you can't cry. You got to find a way. You got to find a way. Like, yeah. So that's just my take on it. But then I know it's hard for Ange because sometimes like when they fight, they'll both end up crying. But then if they're gonna get in trouble, they'll say, no, we weren't fighting, we were practicing. Right? Like that's their excuse now. So they just go, no, we weren't fighting, we were practicing.
That's great. Yeah. No, my three that train, I mean, they have arguing, like they argue all the time. but they'll never fight. They won't square up against each other. They won't. This is the youngest two who don't train at all, who have seen their older sisters train.
Yep.
Like, I think 100 it has to be a boy thing. Like Parker, he throws punches. He's like when he tries to open a door, he'll punch it. I'm like, why? Just push the door. Like him and Emily, like they're always fighting. Like, and they're the ones that don't train. And the ones that do train, they kind of like they just argue. They don't.
There's no point. They know there's no point fighting.
They won't throw it down. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. See, that's a good. I think that's a positive benefit, right? Like people can see that. Hey, well, they realize that violence will only solve to a certain point, and sometimes you just need to talk about it. It's the opposite. Okay, so like from a schooling standpoint, were you academic? What were your interests? Like what kind of a student were you?
God, I wasn't nothing. I wasn't the best. I was like, when I think about high school, I think about like I chose subjects that would, when they would scale up your HSE score.
Yep.
But then I ended up getting the magic mark, the one, the mark without a mark. Like,
okay.
Oh God, I was just thinking back. Like I did engineering studies. I did physics. God, what else was there? I did something else, and I had no interest in these things at all. But everyone was, oh no, they'll scale up your HSE score, like your UAI. I was like, all right, I'll do it. And then like I was terrible at them. And then like once the marks came, I was like, oh yeah, whatever.
Yeah.
I don't know what was going through my mind. I don't know why I expected that I would get something out. No.
But did you enjoy school?
Yeah.
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 But for the schooling side or for the friends?
For the friends.
Yeah.
Yeah, with the homies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I guess, and the reason why I say that is because, I when I went into high school, my first, 4 years from 7 to 10, I was just enjoying life, right? Like, forget about all the academics, like just have fun, right?
Yeah.
Like, make good friends and hang out and do all that sort of stuff. It was only in the last 2 years that I really started to, I think everybody in our school did, put in the effort to get really good marks. But, every school culture is a little bit different too. Like, I guess, in your peer group, like, were the guys too worried about it, or what I guess, when you're getting towards year 12 and that, like, did you have any idea what you wanted to do after?
Not at all. I was just cruising, eh? But with that being said, like, my group of friends, they were academic, they were intelligent.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I guess I was the odd one out.
Okay.
Yeah, but like we won the basketball team. Those guys did the same subjects as me. If not, they did other stuff that were harder. But yeah, they were academically better. It was just, but we were like, it was just our group of mates. Like, it's just, yeah.
Okay. So was school more for you about basketball and
that was it. I was in the basketball team as well.
Yeah.
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 Yeah. I think it was just the social aspect. Like, it's all like yeah. It will sort of bring me joy, I guess. It was just what makes me happy when I think back about high school and that. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So then, what did your parents say anything when you got the mystery mark?
I copped it from my dad. I can't remember if my mum said anything. But like as soon as high school ended, I just went to work. Like I remember getting a job at Woolies, stayed there for a bit, and then
as a checkout chick.
Yeah.
Okay.
Was there for a bit, and then I never really pursued studying afterwards. After that, like, I remember trying accounting at TAFE for a bit, and then kind of wasn't my thing, and it was just
Okay. So what was how did you find the experience doing the checkout chick job?
Oh man, like if you got paid more, working at Woolies would be my thing. I loved it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What was it about it that you enjoyed?
I don't know. I worked late. I worked late at night. It was easy. Like, I don't know. It was the people who I worked with as well. It was just, I don't know. It was just a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, I enjoyed it. Yeah.
Was it a good company culture, or was it just because the people that were there?
I think it was the people that were there.
Yeah.
I said, like, most things for me is the social aspect of things. Like, and like worked with because I worked, most of my shifts were more towards closing. So it was always like with a small group of people. I wasn't like, if I worked during the day, then I'd be working with so many other people.
Yep.
But yeah, because I was on the clothing shift, I'll always be working with the same group of people. It was just
Yep.
yeah.
So then, like, so what were your interests back then? So, like, you know, what else were you into?
Oh god.
Were you gaming?
No, just going out.
Yeah.
Yeah. Since 2018, going out every other weekend. Yeah, getting told off every other weekend that I wasn't going out. Yeah, no, it was just hanging out with my friends, socializing, going clubbing. Yeah. God, do you remember Gas?
Gas.
It's near Central. God, I remember
Which
going
club was
there
that?
every few weeks, every second week with my friends.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, and that was the place.
Yeah, that was it.
And just hang out, drinking, party. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, that's nothing wrong with that. As long as you enjoyed it.
Yeah, I was just, oh man, just, yeah, again, thinking back, I just wish I tried a few things. Like the stuff that I'm doing now, I wish I had come to this realization when I was younger.
Yeah.
Like the whole, like screen printing thing and getting into fashion and stuff like that. I sew as well.
Yep.
Sewing, making garments and stuff like that. I don't know. Like, I mean, I always liked getting dressed up and stuff like that. Sneakers, clothes and stuff. But yeah, I don't know.
So that was something you were always interested in. So like high school and stuff, that was always
yeah. It was. I guess it wasn't there in the sense that I thought of it as like a career or something to get into, but it was like, I mean, I was like to dress up nice. Like I don't even back in the high school, back in primary school, a couple days out of my year 6 farewell, I found $100 bill.
Yeah.
It was just, I was walking home and like this thing was floating in front of me. I was like, what's that? And I picked it up. Oh God, it's $100 bill. And then my mum took me, I was like, oh, I got my year 6 farewell. My mum took me out shopping. And I just remember having the nicest, like, it was a Guess shirt, like Guess button-up shirt with a grandpa collar. I was looking
fresh.
Oh yeah, it was fresh. Like everyone, like, you know, in year 6, everyone's just wearing t-shirts, shorts, or whatever. Yeah, with a jumper. I was wearing like a button-up shirt. I was like, oh man, I'm fly.
Yeah, yeah. And it's clothes is about like, you know, how it makes you feel, right? Like,
yeah.
At the end of the day, you know, if you can wear, you know, nothing and feel good about yourself, then that's even more power to you, right? That's it. But then if you can wear like, you know, clothes that are out there, but then it makes you still have that confidence. Like, and the example I would use is if you look up like any Asian superstar, singing group, whatever, you look at what they wear and you'd go, I would never ever wear that, right? Like, you know, like they're wearing like these plastic jackets, you know, really shiny, or like you're going to the moon, right? But then they'll wear this for their concerts, and some of them will wear it for like their photo shoots and going out and on the street and things like that. It's like, how do you get away with wearing that?
And then it turns into a thing.
Yeah, and then other people want to imitate that or emulate that. So it's one of those things. Like, I think it's all about, you know, what the how those clothes make you feel, right? And so obviously, you know, you had this attraction to how these particular, you know, garments made you feel. I guess one of the things that I'm curious about is that, you know, because, you know, as you said, in thinking back on it now, that you wish you got into it earlier, like there probably wasn't really any guidance on that back then.
No. I said, like, when I was in school, like with the subjects I picked and stuff like that, like, again, it was like, yeah, I had no mentor, I had no one, I had no one to tell me, like, I guess, yeah, I had no one really to look up to, kind of thing. And I mean, having my parents is just like, oh, you got to get into uni, I was like, oh, I didn't. Yeah. Yeah, like, I mean, if I had known, like, yeah, wish I gave it a go. Yeah.
So I think, yeah, that's like, I think that's one of the things about, you know, typical Asian parenting is that they're always very focused on academics, right? So then from that perspective, you might have like you might be this kid who's into arts and drama or music, and like, yeah, like Asian parents typically want you to be good at music too, right? Like, they're like, oh, you know, yeah, you got to play piano at like an 8th grade level or whatever. But then, you can't do that as a career. Like, you know what I mean? Like it's one of those things where it's like, they want you to do all those sort of creative things, but then no, that's not a career. Go and get a job, go and become a lawyer, go and be a doctor. Right. So I think that comes with, the mindset of they want stability. Right. And look, if I had left everything behind to go to a different country, I'd probably want some stability too.
Yeah, 100%.
Right? So, I think for us in as sort of like first generation kids of migrants, we grew up in this environment where it was like, okay, well, this is what they want because they want that sort of stability. So, I find that a lot of the people in our sort of generation do find, what they're more passionate about later on in life. They've gone into a particular career, and then as an example, they're working this corporate job for maybe one of the big four, and then they decide, this isn't for me anymore. And they go and do something else, whether it's like, become a makeup artist or getting into YouTube or like it's odd, right? But at the same time, it's like I think when you were young, nobody really coached you in that direction. It was like the only direction was university.
Yeah.
Right. So.
Yeah. No. Like I guess everyone was in the same boat as me in high school. Grew up even though like in primary school was multicultural. My high school was multicultural as well, but my group of friends was mainly Asian.
Yep.
Yeah. So it was all we were all kind of like, oh, yeah, we got to study hard, we got to do this, got to do that. But it's kind of like, oh, yeah. I tried my best, I guess.
Yeah.
But yeah, nah.
But you also pick subjects that you probably you picked for the wrong reasons, right?
Yeah.
So knowing what you know now, like a guy like you should have been doing something in the arts, right? Like whether it's industrial design or something like that, like those kinds of subjects, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And look, I don't talk about these things to make you go all this regret. I think it's good because at the end of the day, you've now found something that you are quite passionate about.
Yeah.
Right. So okay, let's talk about what happened after Woolies.
I started my long career in banking and customer service. I think after Woolies, I worked at Commonwealth Bank.
Mm-hmm.
And then I worked for a little loan place out in Maroubra. After that, I thought, all right, I got to get away from customer service. I ended up working at another, I think it was a boutique lending place in the city. But that lasted 6 months.
Okay.
And then I ended up applying for the job that I have now at Eubank.
Okay.
Yeah.
So when you when you went to Combank, was that as a teller or
teller? Yeah.
Yep.
So I was a teller for maybe 2 years, and then at the loan place, I was there for about 4 or 5 years, maybe.
Yep.
And then I wanted to leave that place and get out of customer service. So actually, when I left the loan place, I interviewed for Eubank, and then I also interviewed for this office manager role at this boutique loans place, and I actually got through both interviews. I was like, if I go to Eubank, I'm just going to be customer service again. But if I try this office manager role, it'll be a different role. I won't have to deal with customers. I didn't even know what office manager meant. I mean, I know what it is now, but and then I went there, and then I stayed for 6 months. I was like, this isn't for me. I want to hello, yes, thank you for calling, blah 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 blah. Like it was just having to organize the day to day of the office, like a receptionist.
Yeah.
I was like, I don't want to do this. And then I was scrambling to find a recruiter that hired for Eubank again, and mainly because the guy, thing that I remembered working at Eubank was they had an audition process for their recruits, and it just sounded like a fun place to work.
Yep.
I was like, all right, I've got to find a recruiter, and then I ended up finding one, and then I got through, and then I've been there ever since.
Wait, so when you say you found a recruiter,
so I found a recruiter that was hiring for Eubank customer service people, call center people for Eubank.
How did you know that they were doing that?
I can't remember. Did I ask?
So were you ringing around or Googling or like what?
I think it was just applying for every job that was a bank role through Seek. And I think Ubank was at North Sydney at the time. So it was like if I saw a role that was customer service, bank, North Sydney, I was kind of like, put two and two together. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and then I got lucky with one of them. I was like, oh, okay, you're hiring for Ubank. All right, cool, done. And then I got through.
Yeah.
And then, I've been there ever since.
Okay.
I was like 10 years this year.
10 years at Ubank.
Mm.
And so has your role changed over those years?
Yes. So when I started out, I've gone through the role. Yeah. So in terms of what I do, from when I started now, everything's changed. But technically, I work in a call center.
Yep.
So when I first started out, just taking phone calls, whatever. Then I moved on to overnights.
Okay.
So it was a 24/7 call center.
Oh wow.
Yeah. So I used to work the graveyard shift from 8 p.m. to 7 o'clock in the morning.
Wait, so and how many calls would you get in that time?
That wasn't a lot. It really wasn't a lot. Like
So that's pretty good, right?
That was sweet.
Did you have to go into the office for that, or could you do that remotely?
In the office. We didn't have remote back then.
Okay.
Like, we only introduced remote just before the pandemic.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so we'd always been working in the office.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. That's really interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I would have thought a lot of call center roles could be done off-site.
Mm.
You know, I don't know if that was the case pre-pandemic, but obviously it's become more the norm now.
Yeah.
But so you know, what kind of people call the bank in the graveyard shift? Like, I'm just curious. Like, if you don't have to tell people's names and things like that, but I'm curious if you got to have some stories, right?
It was always people from overseas. There's
Okay.
obviously the time difference. You get every few calls, you get someone calling up about, what's this charge on my card? Get me my money back, whatever. Like every second call, not every second call, but every few calls where it was an angry dude complaining about a charge on their card, it would turn out to be a subscription.
Mm.
And then you get a customer call up, hey, like, what's this charge? I want a refund now. Give me my money back, Okay, look, give me a sec. Let me look into this for you. We'll call up our card team. Hey, look, we've got this customer saying it's not him. Can you see what it is? Oh, yeah, it's a subscription for adult website or whatever. And then just let him know, like, we can see that, he's confirmed, You go back to the guy, hey, it's just spoken to our team. They just said it's for an adult subscription. And then, like, as soon as you tell them that, it's like, oh, I thought it was a one-off thing. Okay, don't worry about it. Bye. And then, like, they just get, like, they'll start off the call, like, so fired up. It's like, oh, give me my money back. It's like, dude, you actually pay for this.
Yeah.
And then most of the time, it's like, no, I only paid for that one time. Like, I didn't know it was a subscription. All right, don't worry about it.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay. Look, I find that interesting because, I've had my, I wouldn't say they're run-ins. Like, I think I learnt quite early on that the best way to get good customer service was to just be polite and nice. You know, so, a couple of times that for whatever reason I might have been late on a credit card bill or whatever, I've always called up and just said, hey, just so you know, something's happened, my payment hasn't gone through. Can you please look into it? Can you waive it for me? Blah, blah, blah. And then I've never had an issue.
Like, I had a manager who did that. Like, I had a manager who had that kind of, I suppose, mentality when he called up places and stuff. So, I remember his one piece of advice is, if you ever call up for anything, give him a compliment and then ask them to speak to their manager and pass on a compliment. Tell them they've done a great job, and then you see how the service you get will change. And then, like, every time I call, like, working in a call center myself, like, every time I call up, like, whatever, like Optus or whatever, and then I get, like, decent service, then I'll be like, let me speak to your manager. I want to give you a compliment. You did a great job. And then they're like, oh, and then, like, they'll, like, the service and the mood of the conversation changes. It's just like, yeah, it's just nicer, I guess.
Yeah. There's a saying that goes with it. You don't get bees with vinegar, right? So when who was it? John Perdry was his name. He was one of my managers when I first went to Toyota Motor Corporation, and he said that saying to me. He said, "Johnny, you don't get bees with vinegar. So just think about what you're going to say before you actually say it, because it's very easy to come off as confrontational or combative, and a lot of people think that, oh, well, it's, that's the only way I'm going to get my way is by kicking and screaming until they give in.
Mm.
And yeah, maybe you will get your way, right? But then you've also, made yourself upset in the process. Like even if it's just an act, by acting it, you actually then start to believe it. And then, you'll hang up that call and you go, oh, those bastards, like how could they do this, right? And all it is that you've actually psyched yourself into thinking that. And so a lot of the times, when I've had to make phone calls and do those sorts of things to get those sort of things waived or whatever, it's always been, I've found it to be really easy. Like the only time, and this is probably more recent, where I've had like a really, I wouldn't say, like I felt like I was nice, but the other person was quite snarky about it. And I was just like, oh, are you having a bad day or something? And then I thought about it and I go, look, I actually feel sorry for this guy because it was one of the call center guys for Fair Work Australia. And so, I'm sure the sort of calls he's getting on a daily basis is people like, oh, my workplace is unfair and, doing the wrong thing by me and all these sorts of things. Whereas I just had some clarifying questions that I wanted to ask around certain rules or whatever. And he was just really like,
confrontational.
Yeah, like he was just like, oh, well, what's the award name? And then I'm like, oh, well, this is the award name. And he goes, well, where in what sense does this award cover you? And then I'm like, well, I work in the industry. And then he's like, what is your job function listed on that under that award? And I'm like, well, not specifically, no. And he's like, well, then it doesn't apply to you. I'm like, oh, okay. So essentially, you're telling me my contract is unlawful? Like, is that what you're telling me? Or and he's like, oh, I'm not. I can't tell you that. So it was just a really weird conversation and a really weird way for him to sort of deliver that information. Like he didn't really need to explain it like that. He could have just been like, okay, well, look, my suggestion is that you obviously go and grab a solicitor and review it, because if that's the case, then there could be something wrong with it.
It sounds like you caught him on a shit day.
Yeah, like, and look, and I always like to think the best in people. Like I always try and think that, hey, it's not that they're intentionally trying to be a dick about it. You don't know what they've got going on in their lives, right? And I think, for you in that same vein, like you probably would have had some pretty irate customers over the years, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember I had been dealing with a guy on social media. He just went on a massive rant, and then I responded to him accordingly. Didn't try to piss him off or whatever. I just responded to him accordingly. And then so with my role, like we always they always try to give us different tasks throughout the day. So like I think on this particular day, I was on social media for the first half of the day, and the second half of the day I was on calls.
Yep.
And then it just happened to be when this guy, the call I got through was the guy that was just ranting on on Facebook or whatever, and it was literally all I said in the whole phone call was, "Hi, like thanks for calling Eubank. This is Artie. How can I help?" And that was it. That was the only words I got in, and he just went on. He just fired away. I don't know. It must have been on the phone what felt like hours. But it would have been like 20 minutes max. But he was just so fired up about something. And like, I think in terms of like the actual banking issue, I think it wasn't even that major.
Yeah.
But like, he was so fired up about something that he had to just get everything off of his chest.
Yes, yeah.
And then I was like, all right, look, appreciate feedback, He let me hang up the call, and it was, I guess, it ended on okay terms. It wasn't like, I didn't resolve anything from what I recall, but I just lent an ear.
Yeah.
And then I listened back to the call. I was like, man, like something must be going on with these guys. Like to be that angry at someone you don't know over something so small, like, yeah, again, like you said, like you don't know what someone's really going through. Like, yeah, man, this guy was so fired up, but.
Did he threaten you at all?
No, just angry. Yeah, just yelling.
Yeah. It's very venomous.
Yeah,
yeah. It's funny. Like I've had customer complaints and things like that, or like when things have gone wrong in the dealerships, and I remember this. I had this customer going off, right, and then he's like, "I'm going to come down there and fuck you up," and I'm like, "Okay, come," and then he's like, "You can't say that to me." I'm like, "No, you want to come? Come. I'll meet you here. We'll go. Let's go." Like, I don't fucking care. I'm happy to have a whack. Like, we'll sort it out the old way. We'll go to the car park, and if that's how you want to address the issue, we'll address the issue that way. And then he was shocked, right? And he's like, you can't say that. And I'm like, well, what do you mean? Like, I've been very polite to you, and you've now said that you want to come in and punch my face in. Come, right?
Bring it.
Yeah, and like, and then he was, and so it was then things sort of started to de-escalate. But I think one of the hard things, especially in those situations, is it's very easy to get caught up in the emotion as well when somebody's going off at you. You sort of fire back up and get defensive automatically, even though it may not be something that you're personally invested in, right? Like, has that ever happened to you, especially at the start when you just first got into it?
Like copying it from someone.
Yeah, and then you just feel like, you know what, fuck you, I'm going to give back to you.
I wish I could, but no, I've never. I mean, I can think about situation. No, I don't think I've ever. I don't like.
You're a good man, honestly. I don't think I'd last 2 minutes in a call center.
You know what? It was easier. Like when I started out, it was a lot quieter. It wasn't as busy as we are now.
Yeah.
And then again, having worked on the overnight, didn't get many calls.
Yeah.
And then now I think I've gone back to the days like they got rid of our 24/7 call center, and then went to normal from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m.
Yep.
Work during the day, and I think I've been working during the day now, maybe last 3 years, and you just gotta, like, with the way I think of it when it comes to conversations like that, you just gotta think of a way of outsmarting them. Like, you just gotta find a workaround. Like, especially like I remember the phone calls I used to get at night, or like angry customers who weren't able to do specific things with their accounts, and it was like, all right, well, why don't you try this, or why don't you try that? And you just offer like a solution. Like, I think there might have been a couple of times where it might have like just really gotten to me, but like, yeah, like whenever I cop it, I just cop it. Like, it's just like, all right, like, thanks for your feedback. Is there anything else I can help you with? I remember, it happened on the overnight. I remember getting a call, and it started out pleasant. It was just all right. It was just like, oh, hey, I sent through some documents. Have your guys checked them out yet? And I go, oh, let me check here. Oh, it doesn't look like the team have had a chance to look at it yet. But look, it's like 10 o'clock at night right now. Yeah. So I'll let the guys know during the day. And she's like, all right, thank you. And then all I said was, is there anything else I can help you with? I don't know what happened, but it just flicked the switch in her head, and she just was so fired up and angry. I can't remember what she was yelling at, but she's like, why is it so hard for you guys to check my documents? And it just she just let loose. She just let loose. Like,
was she overseas?
No, she was. I think she was in Perth.
Okay, but
pretty sure. A couple hours behind. Yeah. So, like, it started out pleasant, and all I said was, "Is there anything I can help? Is there anything else I can help with?"
Yeah.
She just
lost it.
I was like, "What? What have I walked into here?"
Yeah, that's right.
And it's not, look.
Let them get it off their chest.
Sorry, appreciate your patience. I'll write it down as your feedback. Have a nice night.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Have you ever had any phone calls that have affected you personally, like where you've gone off that call and you've gone, that's actually put me in a bad mood?
I reckon there would have been a few calls that I would have just been like, oh, fuck that. Like, but like, I can't remember. Like, yeah, there would have been a few. I just can't remember them specifically. I think, like, because I've had that experience in terms of like copying it on the phone, it's kind of built how I communicate with customers on social media now. Like, I don't like them getting away. Like, if someone complains about something and like it's obviously something out of our hands or whatever, like, I'll like try my best to resolve it and try to put them in their place. And I think it comes back to what we were talking about before about trolls. Depending on what they say, I don't like letting them get away with things.
Yeah.
I remember, like, I remember we had this guy who just kept saying like, how can you charge interest when money doesn't exist? And I'm like, what are you talking about? And then like we kind of ignored his posts, and then like he just kept like whenever we'd have a post about like interest rates or like a campaign or whatever, I was like, how can you be charging interest when money doesn't exist? And I'd be like, guys, what is this guy talking about? And then like, oh, he's talking about like the gold standard, like the American thing.
Yeah. So how the money's not tied to the gold standard anymore. So
and then so like
they can just print it.
Yeah. And then like we like the higher ups drafted something like, oh yeah, I think you're talking about gold standard, and then we sent him that, and he stopped.
Oh really?
Yeah.
Okay.
I was just like, what is like at the time? I was like, what is this, like? What are you talking about? Oh yeah.
So would there be any like? Can you tell if it's a? There's no way to tell if it's a bot or if it's a human, right?
No, I mean, like, especially with social media, like you get people who have like ridiculously private like profiles where it's just no display picture. Some people like when they send through a message or they post on your wall, it's just numbers and stuff like that. And it's like it's not even a name. Yeah, you can't tell.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So then, like, when do you have a quota in terms of like, do you have to get back to everyone that writes through, or can you ignore certain posts?
Yeah. So we can ignore certain posts. So like, we're UBank Australia, but there are other banks in like actually there's a couple banks with the same name.
Yep.
Like previously it was like whenever we'd get a DM from another country, it's pretty easy to like pick them out because we only deal with this, like we're a domestic bank, we're pretty small. So it was easy to like, all right, this guy's speaking in a different language. He's looking for UBank, whatever. All right, this person's in another language. He's looking for UBank, whatever. But I think recently there was a UBank Texas that recently opened up.
Okay.
So I was like, oh, now we've got people speaking in English asking for UBanks. Oh my god! Like, so like we've got to treat everyone as if they're one of our customers until we get to the bottom. Like until we find out whether or not they're our customer or UBank Texas customer. Yeah. So I remember receiving a DM in the and it was a lady. She was like, "Oh, have you received my loan documents?" And I'm like, let me help you out here. Like, when did you send it through? How'd you send it through? This, that. And she's like, oh, I sent all these, I faxed through all these documents. I'm like,
fax?
Like, we don't have a fax number. What are you talking about? And then I'm like, and I was like, we don't actually have a fax number. Like, can you confirm what number you sent it to? And then came up with the +1, the American country code. Okay. And then like she sent the number and she's like, oh, real professionally, you guys are discussing account information on Facebook. And I'm like, wait a minute, that's not even our number. Like, hey, you're contacting UBank Australia. The number you've given us belongs to like
UBank America.
Yeah, UBank America. She didn't reply back. She's just like, oh fuck this. Like she just,
Well, she obviously realized that she's made the mess up.
Yeah. But like it's as well as now for me having done it for so long, I like it's weird. It's such a weird thing now just to say it out loud, but like you can tell like whether or not they're one of our customers, but it's looking at the display picture or like it's like some like with the language people use as well.
Yep.
Yeah, and it's just very interesting.
Okay.
Yeah.
So when do you have any guidelines? So like I know, there's always like companies that go viral for their responses, right? Are you allowed to be funny or?
No, we try, but I think some of our funny posts, some of the posts I think that we've made that are funny they're not like Wendy's. Have you seen Wendy's Twitters? Oh my god!
What happens on the Wendy's one?
They're like if you Google Wendy's Twitter, some of the clapbacks like that account comes up with, they're great. I have to find some, but no, I can't. Yeah, we'd have to find some. But like, I know we use them as like some examples, but like, I think one that comes to mind is like, customers would tweet, "Hey Wendy's, I'm at McDonald's. What should I get?" And then Wendy's would be like, "Out."
Yeah,
get out. But yeah, like,
have you had any good ones?
No, nothing like that.
No.
Yeah, so we can be cheeky, but we can't be like, just disrespectful in a way.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I mean, we try to be funny. I remember once we had a post about interest rates, and this guy's like, "Hey, great rates, guys," and I was like, "Yeah, thanks, glad you like it." And then he was like, "I'm not actually complimenting you." I was like, "Oh, obviously." Yeah, but like, see, stuff like that. I wish that went viral, but it didn't make it.
No good.
Didn't cut it. Nah.
Okay. All right. Well, so how did this little side project of yours come about?
Oh, whoa. I
Turn that a little bit.
I'd been thinking about doing something, a brand for ages. But nothing, like, I never put pen to paper. Like, I think what I said, I started thinking about the idea back in 2017.
Yep.
And like I started drawing stuff, started coming up with brand names and stuff like that. But I just never really, I never executed anything.
Mm.
And then, like, I've just been drawing stuff up for ages. I remember, I thought I'd just try and start a parody brand, and I went through a website. I think it was called Teespring, and you like upload pictures, and then like, if people liked your design, then they just buy a shirt, and then they like that website will print it on a shirt for you.
Okay.
And then, it was the streetwear brand Antisocial Social Club.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't come up with it, but and I thought like, maybe I'll do an anti-leg lock club.
Yeah.
And then I posted that up on my Instagram page, and then a little jiu-jitsu brand from Mount Perth, they were like, you guys are blatantly copying our idea. What are you talking about? I'm copying your idea, because their one was anti leg lock club, and I was like, how am I copying you? I'm copying antisocial social club. And then that was fun. I thought I'd go the route of just doing, whatever designs, posting it on this website. I didn't sell anything. And then I came up with a brand name, Crisp Aesthetics.
Mm-hmm.
And then I remember I was talking about it with one of my friends, and it was like, man, that's just a mouthful. It's such a long brand name. I don't know. And then kind of was in the back burner for a little bit. And then I came up with the brand name Crisp, but with cut out the I. Just CRSP.
Yeah.
And then, I think lockdown, like the first lockdown, kind of made me think about doing it a little bit more. I ended up in that first lockdown, just towards the end of it. I was sitting on it for that long.
Yep.
I ended up buying a screen printing thing.
Yep.
Started buying all the inks, but started buying all the screens, and just trying it out.
Yep.
Yeah.
So, okay, hang on. So it's sort of, there's 3 years that are between, when you first had this idea and then getting to buying your own screen printer and things like that. So, what other things did you try in between that, or before getting to that point?
I tried the drop shipping route. I tried that Teespring route. So,
so the drop shipping route would be what you had to. There's probably companies that do this, right?
Yeah. So I guess from the beginning, I tried Teespring, where I would upload my pictures and stuff like that, and then I found that because it was a third-party site where you would upload pictures, there was a limitation. So like if you uploaded a picture and then like it was copyrighted or whatever. Like I remember I drew up a shirt that was like, again, another play on the anti-social social club, was the anti-homers club.
Okay.
You remember the episode of Simpsons where it was like, when Homer's little kid and he wants to join this clubhouse, and they're like,
yes.
yeah, and it's like, but Homer blah blah is in your club, yeah, but it's the no Homers club. Yeah. And I remember I uploaded that, and then it got declined because copyright Simpsons, da da da. I was like, I don't want to do that.
Yeah.
It's like what's the word I'm looking for? It's limiting my creativity.
Yeah.
And then I thought, and then so I scrapped that. And then I saw a video about launching a website through Shopify and drop shipping and stuff. All right, I'll give this one a go.
Yep.
And then I put my designs up on there, launched the website for a little bit, and they weren't, they in terms of designs, they didn't limit it that much.
Yep.
But when I ordered a couple samples and stuff, I didn't like the way they turned out.
Okay.
So
what was wrong?
They used a printing method called direct to garment. So
Direct to garment.
yeah, so what it is basically they put your shirt on a platform, and then it's like a printer. So it just goes through a printer, and then like when I got it, it seemed to fade like after a couple washes. I didn't like it, and it just like the blacks weren't dark and like the colors weren't that rich. I was like on the one hand, it allowed me to post and like print off any picture I wanted.
Yeah.
But on the other hand, it wasn't like the quality. Yeah, it wasn't the quality that I wanted either. And then I was like, man, like, and then I sat on that for a little while. I was like, oh, like, what am I gonna do? Like, if I really want to do this, I got to find a way.
Yeah.
And then I don't know. I think, yeah. And then I think it was towards the end of lockdown. I was like, how hard could it really be? Really hard. But and then I was like, what do I really have to do to like get this going? And then I just started researching stuff. I was like educated by YouTube.
Yep.
And I was like, it doesn't look that hard.
Yeah.
And
So you're like YouTubing these videos about how to do a t-shirt print.
Yeah, pretty much. And then that's when I started buying my screen printing press, my screens, the inks and stuff like that. And then it's just, again, this was towards the end of lockdown, so I was still like giving it a go. And then it wasn't until lockdown ended I ended up taking up a class. It's a 1-day class, and like that changed my life. Like I did a class out in Marrickville, and like I think her name was Clarissa, and she went through all the screen printing. I was like, oh my god, like that, I didn't know you had to do that. Like there's some things that you can learn off of YouTube, and then some other things that you actually have to be taught. Like they have to see and be taught to how it's done and stuff like that. I was like, oh my god, and then like that changed everything. And then like after doing that one class, I like my screen printing started getting better and this and that. And then after I learned how to screen print, I think it was, I guess I still wasn't confident in what I was producing. Yeah. Like, I took that class, I think it was October 2020. So again, from then until like I actually just launched today. Yeah. You know, it was like 14 months. I could screen print, but I still wasn't confident in like what I was producing. It was good.
So when you say not confident, was there something that you weren't happy with, or was just you were just hypercritical of?
I was hypercritical. Like I wanted it, like I wanted my ability to screen. I wanted to make sure I didn't have a strike rate. Like I didn't like everything I printed out was like the best. Like I didn't want to produce a shit shirt. I just wanted to, as soon as I put the shirt down, print it, done, bang, bang. Like I just wanted it to be perfect. And so that way I knew that if anything that was launching or if anything I was dropping would be perfect straight away. And that was definitely not the case. Like I have so many shirts at home that are just like, that just didn't make the cut. Like I got like, I think I have like with this drop, I have like 6 shirts that like they look good, but I was like there's like a little bit of paint out of it, that's like there's a little smudge in there. Like if you saw it, like you'd be like, that's all right. Like I'd pay for that. But like for me, I was like, I think me wanting for it to be perfect kind of delayed my release as well.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, you want to get it right.
yeah. And I think it was a lot of doubt, like a ton of self-doubt. Like, even me launching the website today, finally having my website out there.
Yeah.
Dude, I had a heart attack like 3 times today, man. I was just like,
So what did you use to build the website? Shopify again? Or?
Shopify, yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
So that was fun. Yeah, like, I mean, yeah, like the anxiety that I've gone through in the last couple of months, just like starting, oh man, like I got to do this. Like at the start of the year, I was like, all right, I got to launch. And then January came around, I didn't launch. And then February, March. And then I was like, nah, like, let me give, like, I got to set a realistic date. I was like, all right, June. I'm going to drop everything. I'm going to launch in June. And then lockdown happened. Lockdown happened again. I was like, oh, God. Yeah. I remember just before this lockdown, I had everything set. Like, my brother's my photographer.
Yep.
So I was like, hey, like, I gotta get you for a weekend. So let me print out some stuff, and I need you to come around and we'll do a photo shoot. Reached out to some people. I was like, hey, do you mind modeling for me? I was like, yeah, sweet. Come around. Just let me know, whatever. And then lockdown happened.
Yeah.
And then it's kind of like I was just sitting on it from June till October. I was just like doing nothing. I printed a couple of things out. But it kind of went stagnant again. But yeah, as soon as this lockdown ended, had my brother over that first Sunday, had my models come through, and we did a photo shoot.
Yep.
And we did it at our townhouse complex.
Okay.
Yeah, it was so much fun. It was heaps of fun.
Yeah. Did you learn anything from doing that?
That I need to be more involved in the photo shoot. Like,
Your brother's like, let's take a shot like this. It's like, what the hell is that?
Like, I remember we were doing the photo shoot, and that it was my brother and his missus, like they're both photographers, and then I had my models and stuff, and then I was just in the background taking like a few behind the scenes shots, and then I was messaging my mate, and then I sent him a couple of videos. Like, he's like, what are you standing like 10 Ks behind? Like, get in there. You got to do a proper behind the scenes. Like, get in there. Yeah. And then I started like filming like a bit more up close, and like a lot of like fun videos, like a lot of up close with the model, and then like panning to like my brother photographer, and just like a proper behind the scenes video. Yeah. And then like looking back, I should have done more of those videos, because like half of the day was like half of my footage is me standing behind everyone. It's just standing awkwardly in the background. Yeah. It's like, I mean, yeah. Yeah,
but I think that comes with, that's the experience, right? Like, yeah. And so what happened for me, so as an example, when I was at BMW and I started doing social media videos for BMW, when I first started, so how that actually happened was, I think Joshy, one of my guys. So Josh, I've got to get him on the podcast at some time. So Josh was one of my sales guys, and he used to be a stuntman.
No way.
Yeah. So in movies, so he's like in the Kingsman and all these movies, and like just, funny guy. Was in all these movies, was overseas, all that sort of stuff. I just didn't want that lifestyle anymore, because it's like, as much as people think it's really glamorous, it's so rough on the body. Right? I
imagine.
Yeah, and then at the same time, work is, you're only working as long as there's movies in production and things like that. So, he and when I get him on, he'll probably talk more about that. But like, so Joshy and I what was I doing? I think I was just like filming stuff, and then Josh showed me, you got iMovie, and I'd never used iMovie in my life.
I know, how great is it,
right?
And then, my god!
Yeah, and so then from that moment, then I was like, okay, I'm gonna learn how to use this, and I started playing around with it. And so, like, it was so easy to use that I got really good at it really quickly. So a lot of the content that I put out, even like so all the film studies that I do for martial arts film studies, I do on iMovie.
Oh yeah,
yeah. So because when I started doing the film studies, the martial arts film studies, it was just like I was just picking up on things in certain fights that I'd been thinking about or practicing or whatever, and then I thought I want to look at it in a bit more detail. So, and part of the reason why I like doing it in iMovie is because, I can slow it down, I can, go frame by frame, move backwards, blah, 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 and I could do it from my phone. So that meant that, I didn't need a computer. I could do it from anywhere, provided, I had the video on my phone or I screen recorded or whatever. and I could then invest some time, whether it was like, and like when I first started doing it, I was like really addicted to it, to the point where like, I wasn't, when I was on my phone, I was basically just editing stuff, editing clips, and then, and look, I'm still really into it, but now it's like, I have to see something that stands out for me to really want, like, to look into it. So it's odd because I think fighting is one of those odd things that sometimes, a fight could be very scrappy, but there could be something that's really technical in there as well. And then other times it could just be a shit fight. Like, when I say shit, I don't mean in the sense that, and I think what I think is of what is a shit fight compared to what other people would think of. I think to most people a shit fight would be a boring fight that, like, there was no knockout or no submission or something like that. To me, a shit fight is something where there was no real replicable difference in terms of what the fighters were doing or the adjustments that they made to get a better outcome.
Okay.
Right? So my definition is a little bit different. So what I'm looking for when I'm doing film studies and things like that, I'm looking for what are specific sets of circumstances that keep occurring, and if these circumstances are repeated, has anybody made any adjustments to change the outcome of that particular sequence, right? Because I think, especially for your own training, it's like, you don't want to just like throw down, right? Like, if you get into a fight and it's like it's a 50-50 because you can hit me, I can hit you, you're never really going to improve your winning percentages, right? So I looked at it from that perspective of how do I break down the smaller exchanges to actually make sure that the decisions that you make in those micro exchanges actually get you a better outcome, right? So that's what I'm looking for when I'm watching fights. Like, I can watch them for entertainment too, but normally what happens for me, it's almost like I get inspired when I watch certain fights, and it could be because there's something that's happening that is repeatable, and it keeps happening and happening and happening and happening, and or it could. And when I say that, if it happens 3 times in a fight, but those 3 exchanges were that significant to change the outcome of the fight, to me that's replicable, like that's repeatable, right? And that's what I like to focus on. Like
was it the last video about teeping and stuff?
Yeah. So and so I structured that one a little bit differently because I always like to play around with how I present things as well. So with that particular video, the first part of that video was focused on positioning, because, and this is something that I've been playing around in my own sparring, is just, how do I position myself relative to my opponent? And as an example, it's not just as simple as saying that we're square on each other. If I move slightly to the left or slightly to the right, now we're at a different angle. So what you can hit me with, or hit me with, and what I can hit you with, are 2 different items. And so the first part of it was the positional awareness aspect, and how do you, and watching, Pampak as an example in that fight, how he adjusted just really small footwork adjustments, but they were repeatable and they kept happening. And so basically every time there was an entry for an exchange, he had the upper hand, right? Because he started it right. So when people talk about getting the position right, just like in jiu-jitsu, you want to get your positioning right. It's the same thing. What do you do with your knees? What are you doing with your arms, your elbow, your framing? What are your pins? What are your wedges? All those sorts of things. And then the second part of that was then talking about, the teep as a weapon. What is it good for? But then, once that weapon is actually established, now it's actually not about throwing the teep. It's about faking it, right? Have the other guy bite on it and then hitting with something else. Like, so there's a lot of layers that go into that, right? And so what you see at the end of the fight is actually very different to what you see at the start of the fight. The start of the fight where they're trying to work out positioning and that sort of stuff and feeling those things out. So I like to look at, identifying those things and then studying that in a bit of detail. And at the same time, I like playing with it as well. So, if I see something that so I think, I did a study on Jonathan Haggerty versus Taiki Naito, and there was something that Haggerty does very specifically with his stance work. And so I was mucking around with that in my sparring, and I was like, finding some success until I did it too many times and then got hit, right? So, you have to experiment, right? And like, I think the thing for the film studies, like the reason why I do it is not to, get well known or anything like that. Why I do it is just because I want to try and replicate some of those things in my own training, right? So that's like my additional study on top of actually going to classes and practicing and all those sorts of things. So I guess, you know, we've gone on this big long tangent, but, you know, that iMovie thing and the benefit of hindsight in terms of when you go through that learning curve. So your shoot, you know, when you do your first photo shoot, you're like, oh yeah, like I should have gotten more in there. That next time around, you've actually now got this whole, you created more ideas, right? Because you give yourself this base to now work from.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's all in the experience. Yeah. Like I had the tools there. I just didn't utilize. I got a gimbal. Like everything was there. I don't know. I didn't get in there.
So when you were thinking about your idea, like you mentioned that you did a lot of, so you're doing a lot of drawings. Did you do any planning?
No. No. I guess being dad of 5, working full time, training every other day, then taking the kids to training every other day. It was, I think at one point I did think that way. I was like, all right, I got to business plan this. I got to plan out what I'm going to do the next couple months. I got to do this, got to do that. And then I just spent so much time planning that I think it was, I remember seeing a TikTok video or something on social media, just like procrastinating researching. So I spent more time researching and planning stuff than actually doing stuff. And in between parenting duties and husband duties and stuff like that. And I was like, nothing ever happened. And then, I like with this one, I was just like, I put it down onto Instagram. I had a couple of designs up, and then I was like, all right, so which one does everyone like? And then I got everyone to vote, and then what did I say? I was like, hey guys, here's 5 designs. Pick vote which one you like, and I'm gonna go with that for my launch.
Yep.
And I kind of went that route, and then it worked out. It was fun.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that was the extent of my planning for this first drop.
Yeah.
But I know, I think lockdown, parenting, husband, it just kind of, I think that kind of got in the way. And that's why I didn't really plan anything. Again, I had wanted to launch this in June, and then I kind of wanted to make it a thing that I would drop something once a month.
Yep.
And then I guess when lockdown came, I was just like, oh man, I can't do it. I can't think of anything.
Yeah. So when you do a drop, how many articles or pieces are you planning to release, or you planning to change it depending on, you know, what type of clothing it is? Or
I think it's gonna be different depending on the article and the design. I know after this one, I want to do a more sportier design. It's gonna be. I want to try and drop some shorts as well.
Yep.
Yeah, and then but with that comes learning how to screen print on different parts of clothing as well.
Yep.
Obviously the front and the back is easy to do. The sleeves was a little bit harder to do. I had to make my own sleeve palette.
Okay.
So with screen printing, you get this giant aluminium screen, and then you get a palette that you put your article of clothing on, and it's just like a board, it's a big board that you put your clothes on. And obviously if I wanted to screen print on the sleeve, I couldn't put this around on the board, so I had to make my own sleeve palette, and that was a learning curve. And then the way you would screen print on a shirt is slightly different to how you would do it on a sleeve, because I tried to use the same amount of pressure and stuff, and when I used the same amount of pressure for printing on the sleeve, it just ended up becoming an ink blot. Too much ink came out, and that was a learning curve. But I think I did do a prototype on some shorts, and that turned out okay. But I think next I want to try with a vinyl cutter.
Yep.
So it's just like heat transfers and stuff like that.
Yep.
Yeah, like I think with the way I want my brand to be, I want like each drop to have something different, something unique about it. I think like with this one, these shirts glow in the dark, like the ink, like that will glow in the dark green. This is gonna glow in the dark green, but not as much as that one.
Yeah.
And I think for the next one, I was thinking I was gonna use reflective vinyl, just to, because it's summer, you know, when you go out, it's just gonna like be
stand out.
Yes, they stand out. Yeah, I think I put that in my my bio, like on my website. It's, like my shit's gonna sparkle. It's gonna glow in the dark. It's gonna blink.
Nothing wrong with that. So yeah, like I think when you start any sort of project, it is very easy to get caught up in this planning process. I like to say it's like there's like a rule of thirds that I like to apply to certain things, and the rule of thirds is basically, you know, 1/3 of your time should be spent, you know, getting your headspace right and getting your prep done. And then the next third is obviously the action itself. And then I think, you know, post completing that action, there's that last third, which is the reflection piece. So I think a lot of people either spend too much in the first third spend too much in the last third, right? Like and don't do any of the last third. A lot of people actually reflect back and go, oh, okay, how could I have done that better, right? And without thinking about how you could have made this process better or improved on this or that, you're always going to deliver substandard quality. So the reflection piece, I think, is one of the most overlooked things, because a lot of people, you know, they'll make decisions, but they'll never go back and really look at it, because sometimes they're painful, right? It's like sometimes you make these shit decisions, or you have these poor outcomes, and you just like you feel humiliated in your own right, you know, and you're like, oh, I can't believe I did this, or I can't believe I did that. But you have to sort of own that, right? So like in the same sense, you know, how you think back on the photo shoot, right? And you have this little bit of regret that I should have had all this stuff, but I didn't use it. It's like the fact that you've owned up to that, you know, and you've got that regret. That's actually a good thing, because the next time that it comes around, you're going to be like, okay, now I really know what I'm going to be doing, right? Like that's part of that refining process of getting better every time you do it. So, you know, like what did Selena say about like when you started doing all this?
No, she knew that I wanted to do something. Like she knew I wanted to do something fashion wise for ages. You know, she was like, you should enroll in a course. She actually she actually wanted me to do some form of training in like fashion and stuff like that. But like, yeah, I just came up with excuses like you know, like work. I got no time. Got to do this. Got to do that. And then like I don't know. I just like I didn't want another thing stopping me from. Not saying that her suggestion for studying was stopping me from doing anything, but I felt like it was kind of like another hurdle for me to get over before I pulled the trigger on actually doing something. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Like that would have been a great idea. That wouldn't have been it's not a bad idea, but like again, I just wanted to get something out there straight away, as soon as possible, because I've been sitting on and stewing on doing something for ages. Yeah,
it would have been a massive relief as well when you've done it.
Yeah. Oh man, when I released the website this afternoon, I was like, oh my god, and then Selena had work this afternoon, and so it's me and the kids. But Selena's mum was over, thank God. But like, even though Selena's mum was over, like the kids still running amok, so they're just in the background, like just doing their thing. And then I'm just like, oh my god. It's like I'm pretty sure like the kids Emily just had a bath, but she was watering plants again, she was playing with mud or whatever, and it was just I don't know. I was just in my own like. Oh my god! I was just, just
still stewing over it.
Yeah.
But then you would have heard the chime like the
yeah. No, that was good. That was fun. And I started getting DMs about it, and it was good.
That's really. I think that's really exciting. So, okay, let's switch gears a little bit, because I don't know how you do it. 5 kids. So like, if you don't mind, can we talk a little bit about relationships and then obviously kids? So how did you and Selena meet?
Online.
Yeah.
Yeah. You remember MIRC?
Yeah.
Yeah.
MIRC of
Yeah.
all places.
Yeah.
So what chat room were you guys in?
Fairvale.
Okay.
Fairvale chat. Yeah, and then we chatted there, and then we met at a dance party, Ashfield.
Okay.
Yeah, she's from out west.
Yeah.
And then
Wait, so why were you in this Fairvale chat?
huh? This is what everyone was on. Like at the time, I think one of like I didn't have a computer at the time, but one of my brother's friends had a computer. And it's like, oh yeah, go in this chat, and this is where everyone goes to chat. I was like, all right, cool, whatever. And then started chatting there, and we eventually got our own computer, and then started chatting with her on there, and then we met at under 18s.
No way.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
And so then, wow. Okay. That's actually it's pretty cool, right? Like it's very different. So how did you know it was her? Because in MIRC, it was all text.
Yeah, but you can send pictures. So like, after MI, you strike up the conversation in MIRC, and then you get someone's ICQ. You remember ICQ?
Yeah.
And you get ICQ. Yeah, ICQ, and then I think I sent her one of my pictures, and then kind of went from there. And then I remember being at the under 18s, and I knew she was gonna be there. And she tapped me on the shoulder. She's like, "Adi," I was like, "Oh, hey, Selena, hey, what's going on?"
Oh wow! And so then, when did you guys start dating after that?
I think shortly after that, we went to the movies. Went to Burwood. I think we thought that was the middle ground between the eastern suburbs and the western suburbs.
Yeah,
I think that was one of the newer Westfields at the time. No. Yeah, and I think we just thought that was the middle ground.
Yeah,
and then we just kind of went from there.
Yeah, wow. Okay. That's a spit out, MIRC.
Yeah. No, that was fun.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so then, how long did you guys date for before you decided, hey, you got to take this to the next level?
God, I knew we got married. We got married 24. So we'd been together for about 8 years.
Wow.
High school sweethearts.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think I was 16, 17 at the time.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, because that would have been, back when you're that young, like you wouldn't be able to drive. Like how you wouldn't have been meeting up that often, right?
Just on weekends. Bus, train.
Build Westfields every weekend.
And like it'd be different every week. Like like some weekends I'd go out to Fairfield, or would go hang out at Livo, or and then she'd come up to the city. We'd hang out in the city.
Yeah.
I think Galaxy World was still a thing back then.
Yeah, massively.
Yeah, and then the sticker photos at Capital.
Yep, Capital.
I think they're still there, but not as good as they were back then. Yeah. Hanging out at Paddy's, just hanging out in the city and that.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. So then, when you guys got married, were you guys planning to have 5 kids?
Oh man. I think not 5. I knew not 5, but like I knew we were always gonna have a big family. I didn't know it was gonna be 5. But yeah, never a dull moment at our house.
Yeah, no. Look, a lot of people nowadays they look at me and they go, "You got 3? Oh, you're crazy." Right? Like it's just, and look, I think it's going to be more chaotic before it gets less chaotic. But so, like, there was a couple of things that I think stood out for me. So my godfather, so he was my kung fu master. So Master James, his brother in Malaysia, we used to go back to Malaysia and see them and like, so when I'd go back for kung fu things and that, we'd stay at his place. And his name was Chibun Tek, right? And he passed away from cancer only probably, I don't know, a couple of years ago or something like that. But one of the things he said to me on one of my trips in Malaysia, he said, Johnny, have more kids, because he only had one. Like, he's got a son. Yeah. And so he was just like, have more kids. Like, you won't regret it. Like, for me, I'm older now, but I regret not having more kids.
Mm.
And so that I always remember that, and that was before I, had kids. But so, Ange and I, we didn't really say, I think we sort of said in an ideal world, we'd love to have 3, right? The world's not ideal, but we had 3 anyway, right? Like that's sort of how it was. And we've been blessed in the sense that it was funny because when we had Cadence, we were sort of like originally I was like leaning more towards I'd love to have the boy first, and then Andrew's always I want to have the girl first, and you can't really pick, but I understand her perspective as well, because having the Cadence as the girl as the eldest, theoretically she's supposed to be more caring, and I guess be a better role model for Harley, whereas boys always are going to be a little bit rougher. Whether that's actually the case or not is probably something totally different, right? Because, like I said, they fight all the time, and they're both rough. So, but yeah, we've been blessed. So we had boy, girl, and but you got what, 3 girls, 4 girls?
I got 4 girls, and
4 girls,
Parker, the last one, was the boy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So was it just because you were trying for the boys? That way,
pretty much. Yeah, the last one. Yeah, and that was yeah. No, I think we were in a similar in that. Like for our first, I think we both wanted a girl. But I think like as soon as we got married, it was just like Nia came, like we like decided to have a Nia, and then Nia, and then we had a Nia, and then it kind of became like clockwork after that. It also came 2 years after, then Inara, and then I think it was like 3. I'm terrible at dates and the date of birth. So, 3 years after we had Emily, and then after 3 years after Emily, let's give it another go, and then we had Parker.
Yeah. So that's like I'm Eden's now. She'll be 1 at the end of this year, and it was like we're looking forward to getting our sleep back, and getting some kind of, normality. Like at the same time, it's sad as well. Like when I say sad, I'm sad that, like Cadence, she's going to go to kindy next year. And like we got her a school uniform the other day, and she was trying it on, and it's just like, you almost feel like
you're gonna cry, bro.
Yeah.
Your first one's going to kindy next year.
Yeah.
You're gonna cry.
That's right. And so
you're
actually,
gonna cry.
She had an orientation at St. Declan's, when was that? Last Friday. And Ange was there, like Ange took her to the orientation, and then the parents got to do something, and they played this video, and then Ange came back, and she's showing me this video. She's obviously found the video or whatever. She goes, they played this, and I was like, let me guess, you cried, didn't you? And she's like, yeah. And I was like, were there any other mums crying? And she was like, well, I was sitting in the front, so I couldn't tell, but I cried. And I was like, yeah, look, I can understand that feeling, right? Like it's just like they grow so fast.
Bro, I have a kid going to high school next year.
Yeah.
I still can't. I'm a kid raising kids. It is just like the whole, like, whenever something goes wrong, you look for an adultier adult. Like you look for, like, holy shit, what the
So what, do you look at Selena, or it's
pretty much, yeah. I was just like, oh my god. Yeah, like I swear, in the blink of an eye, I have a kid in high school next year. It's just like, oh my god.
Yeah, it brings different kind of problems, I think.
Yeah.
Look, I'm not looking forward to those later years. So my brother's eldest, Kayla, she when she went to high school, like I think we were over at his place for like a birthday or something, or someone's birthday, or whether it was just a family catch up or something. And I was talking to Kayla, and so Kayla used to come to Kung Fu as well when she was little, and so like I used to love playing with her and things like that. And like I said something to her, and I just said, how's school? And she like gave me this 1-word answer. I'm like, oh, okay. What, do you not like school? And then I got another 1-word answer, and then I'm like, wow, okay, this is like a total personality change, right? Like, but obviously they're growing up, right? Like it's hormones, it's everything. And I was just like, I'm not looking forward to the day when my daughter is going to give me 1-word answers. Like, I'm sure she probably doesn't do that to Donnie, but like that's all I got. And I was just like, oh, okay, this I'm no longer Uncle Johnny. Yeah, I'm just Johnny.
Oh yeah, like it hasn't started at my house. The kids have devices now, so like I'll ask them to do something like, like when they're younger, it's like, oh, hey guys, clean your room. You got to do this. You got to do that. Yes, Dad. All right, and then they'll do it or whatever. They'll pack away whatever. Now it's like, hey guys, have you done that? Yeah, doing it now. Haven't done it. Hey guys, don't forget to do that. All right, yeah, doing it. I have to ask like 4 times. Oh my god. Yeah.
You're lucky if you can get through after 4. Like Harley, Cadence is quite good. She'll pack up, but Harley, like I have to stand there and watch him do it. Otherwise, he won't do it. He just and like I thought maybe it could be a comprehension thing. No, it's not a comprehension thing. He just doesn't want to do it.
I think like girls are all right in that like they're organizational, like they'll do stuff like that. Like if they got a chore, they'll get it out of the way, they'll do it, whatever. I mean, not so much now because they're older, but like I don't know when like the girls were Parker's age, if they had to pack away their like they'll play with it. Like girls are easy in the sense that they can be left to their own devices. They play with the toy, they're done with it, they'll put it away, whatever. They're a lot neater. But with Parker, I think he wakes up and chooses anarchy every day.
Yeah. Does he destroy things?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. And like his toys are everywhere. He just doesn't pack anything away. It's just, oh my God. Like he bounces off the walls.
Yeah.
It just, yeah. I think boys are built different.
Yeah. No, look, I think that's, I can 100% relate to that. Like Harley will he'll jump off the couch or something, but then there'll be a book on the floor and then he'll just tear the book in half by accident, like, because he's landed on it and slipped, right? So it's like, it wasn't intentional, but he just doesn't think about what he's doing.
Yeah.
Right. And so the other, like even, he's been doing this like swimming intensive thing this week. And yesterday, I get the kids back in the car and then Cadence was like, oh, the teacher said Harley was naughty. And then I'm like, okay, what happened? And then she said she doesn't want Harley to come back. And then I'm like, oh no, what's he done? And then he's like, oh, Harley threw the toys. And then I'm like, okay, what toys? Is like the pool toys or whatever that they give him to, yeah. And so then I was just like, Harley, did you throw the toys? And then he's like, yes. I'm like, did the teacher tell you there's no more toys for you? And he's like, yes. And I'm like, okay, are you happy that the teacher's upset with you? And then he's like, no. But he's just, like, he can't help himself, right? And I was saying to Ange just the other day, I feel sorry for his preschool teachers next year. Like, how are you going to deal with this guy? Because at the same time, like, I think back to, was I that much of a brat when I was a kid?
Oh God, I hate to think what we were like when we lived. Like, maybe we've blocked it out. Like, I just can't remember what we were like. I think I do remember. I think. Maybe my mum mentioned it the other day, but I remember going to some shopping center as a kid. I don't know if I dreamed it, made it up, but I swear it's so vivid. Like it was me, my brother, my mum. Must have been 4 or 5 years old, and then like I had a massive tantrum, and then like cigarette stores and how they have a little fridge of drinks, and I think. And more often than not, they're locked up. And I swear, like, I just remember being like just screaming, wanting like this can of Coke, and it's just yanking on this door, and like it was locked because like it was there was just this little fridge at the front of the cigarette store, and just pulling on the door, wanting to get the can, and I don't know. I vividly remember getting it open, and then like the can's falling all over me, and then my mum just pulling me by the collar, just like. Let's get out of there. We've got to go home. Yeah. I'm pretty sure she said, she's like, yeah, that was like the worst tantrum you've ever had as a little kid.
Coke got you hooked good, huh?
Man, I remember like when I was small and I was like, I dreamt of a can of Coke behind my pillow, and then like while I was dreaming this, I was like, all right, I've got the can now. If I wake up slowly, the can will exist in real life, in reality. So I remember just sleeping and just opening my eyes closed, like trying to wake up. And I looked away and shit, the cat
Gone.
Coke is not there.
Disappeared. Oh wow. So, like, when it comes to having 5 kids in the house, like, how's that sort of shaped you as a parent? Like, did you? I don't know what you'd say your parenting style is, right? But,
I think I'm the mean one.
yeah.
Or
So, because obviously from the first one to the 5th one, your parenting style would have changed, right?
yeah. I think like with Parker, I try to talk a lot more, like trying to speak with him a lot more, like in terms of directing him. I think with with the girls, I probably would have just done the stuff for them, like pack away the toys, and then like they'll do a little bit, and then like they won't do all of it, so I'll do the rest of it. But then like with Parker, I try to talk to him a little bit, like, hey Parker, like, are you done with your toys? Can we pack them away now? Let's pack them. Like, I think it's more in terms of our communication styles. Like, yeah, I think with the girls, we did a lot more with them, whereas with Emily and Parker, we just kind of started speaking with them a little bit more.
Okay.
I think, and then like so by speaking with them, and I don't know, I think it might have to do with lockdown as well. Like, their vocabulary is a bit more extensive compared to with the first 3. I think like we did stuff with them, we talked with them, but like not as much as we have with like Emily and Parker. And I guess again, because we were all together for the last year and a half, that's all you can do. They just talk amongst each other. So like I think it was just, I think in terms of parenting styles, I think what contributed to it being different is lockdown as well. Like just having to talk to them a little bit more.
Yeah. Well, you cooped up in the same place, right? Like,
yeah.
at the end of the day. So did the kids try and help you do your screen printing and things like that?
No, not yet. They have no interest. Like I said, like they like the big 3 have devices now, okay. So they're kind of like they're hooked on those for a little bit. My eldest is into video games now. I know, like, I print them out a shirt. Like every time I do, like with this range, I've printed them out their own ones as well.
Yeah.
And I like, last weekend, I ran out of ink, so I had to run around. Drove out to Newtown to buy more ink.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, because it was like a Sunday, and then like I couldn't order from the place I normally order because I wouldn't get it for another couple of days. But I had to drive all the way out to Newtown. They had some inks, and I got my second daughter to come, Elsa. I got her to come out with me. So I picked out some other colors, and I told her, I go, look, like we got all these colors. How about you design something, and then Daddy will put it on the screen for you. And I think she's still trying to. I think she's been indecisive. Like she's come up with a few things, but I guess it is definitely something I'd like to get them to try and do. It'd be a lot of fun. Like it's messy but fun.
Yeah. Yeah, no, absolutely. I think the more you can get them involved, the better. I'm sort of, Harley loves to play with my equipment, but I'm like, oh, please don't, because you're the destroyer. Like, So the other day, so I tried to do. So Ange actually came up with a great idea. She was like, hey, you've got the equipment. You should try and do a podcast with the kids, so that over the years we can sort of reflect back on how the vocabulary changed and things like that. So I did a podcast with Harley the other day, and the I'd been setting up everything, and then I walked away to do something. I come back and he's like pressing all the buttons, and he's changed all the levels, and like he's having the time of his life, and I'm like, borderline tears, and then I'm like, okay, here we go. And so, but yeah, like I have to do a bit of editing on that one, just because we he mainly speaks Chinese, so I've obviously got to put subtitles and things like that. But like the podcast didn't really go, as expected, right? Like, as a kid, like you don't know what you're gonna get, right? Like I asked him to tell a story, and he goes on this rant, and then I'm like, okay, just move to the next question. Like, well, what are you supposed to say, right? Like
it would have been super cute though.
His brain's like at a million miles an hour, and it's just like can switch between so many different things at the same time. So, but like I really am grateful to be able to do those sorts of things. Like I think the next year that I do it, he's probably going to speak a lot more English. Going to preschool next year, so that will be interesting. To see how that turns out, and they just grow so fast.
They do. So like you turn around, and then like they're 10, and then you turn around again, and then they're 12, and then it's just the blink of an eye, man.
Yeah.
Like, yeah. I mean, like, I think that's why I started jiu-jitsu, is so I could have something with them.
Yep.
I'm not the first one to train martial arts in our family. I actually got Ania to start doing jiu-jitsu. So she had done it for, she would have been like 4 or 5 at the time. So she did it for like a year before Elsa. We enrolled Elsa into jiu-jitsu. And then at that point I was like, if I'm going to make them all do it, I might as well give it a go as well. And that's when I tried, like, I signed up for jiu-jitsu, and it's just, you want to have something to share with them.
Yeah.
And then like, as much as I know they probably hate doing it.
Yeah.
Do
they?
Like, it's become a chore. It's a chore to them. Like they do it.
Yeah.
They're good at it.
Yeah.
But it's like, we gotta go do it again. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's like, yeah. But like having to, like, especially during lockdown, like I trained with them every other day.
Yeah.
So like Ania does karate jitsu now on Tuesdays and Thursdays. So I do that with her. I do a bit of striking, so that's a bit of fun.
Yeah.
And then I'll do grappling and stuff with Elsa and Nara.
Yeah.
So so that was a lot of fun during lockdown. So just having that with them was. I really liked it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's nice. I think the kids will remember that as they get older.
Yeah.
Yeah. So when it came to, sorry, I'm still thinking about how you managed to get away with getting all this equipment to do all this screen printing stuff, right?
Yeah.
Like, where do you keep it all?
We have a long double garage.
Okay.
Yeah. So when I first got everything, so we're renters. So the first place we lived in had a few bedrooms in it. So I had a room dedicated for screen printing. So that was that. And then we moved to this place in Hurstville, and it's a long double garage. So it fits our huge Odyssey, and then the second half actually fits all my screen printing stuff.
Wow.
And a gym.
And a gym.
And my gym, yeah.
So you can actually, get a workout in as well.
Yeah.
So when, actually that's something I'm a bit curious about with the screen printing process, right? How do you then change what you print?
So with a different screen. So with screen printing, you have big aluminium screen. You put did you do photography in high school? So it's a light sensitive emulsion. So you get your screen, you put this emulsion on it, and then you basically, depending on how many colors your picture has, you have to create a different screen for each color.
Oh.
So that's why I started out with black and white first.
Yep.
Because it's just the one color.
Yep.
But basically, when you have more colors, you use different screens, and then and then with different pictures, you have it on different screens. So like for this one, for example, I had one screen for this print, another screen for this print, and another screen for the print on the back.
Yep.
And then my press actually can fit 4 screens on it.
Yep.
So I could just, it's like a carousel. So like I'll print one, like I'll put the screen down, print the front, flip over the shirt, do the second part.
Okay.
Yeah, and then do the sleeve and stuff like that. Yeah.
So then, do you need to buy more screens to have different designs?
Yeah. So I'm slowly getting like a full catalog of screens now. So like, yeah. So yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. Okay. Interesting. I never really thought about that. Yeah, the different colors thing as well, to have multiple screens. So it's sort of like layers it, right?
Yeah. So I got my first multicolor. So I did a job for a colleague at work. Like one of her kids had, I don't know, must have been like a multicultural week or whatever. And she's Philo, so she wanted a picture with the Philo flag with the Australian flag together. So that was the first time I had ever done more than 2 colors.
Yeah.
And then so it's like blue, white, red. I think there's yellow. Yeah, yellow. So I hit it with the white first. So yeah, that was a lot of fun. It didn't align perfectly, but it was learning for me, and she didn't mind it. She liked it. But yeah, that was a lot of fun. But yeah, the amount of screen I had to make, 4 screens. So the white base, and then the black, the blue, red, and yellow.
Yep.
And then having to align everything up together. Yeah, that was fun.
Yeah, I think as of anything, right? It's a steep learning curve, and then as you go through, then you're just going to keep getting better and better.
Yeah.
Right. But yeah, as like one of the other things that I thought was really good about you doing it yourself is that rather than like, especially at the moment, with COVID, there's all these sort of shipping delays and things like that. So you can buy something from overseas, you may not see it for like a month. 2 months.
Yeah, exactly.
Whereas because you're doing it all local, actually, So where do you supply? How did you source your teas and like the actual materials and things like that?
That one I'm gonna keep a secret.
Okay, so you do have you got a supply for that. Yeah.
I tried a lot of different brands, and like some were like, it wasn't a nice feel, and then like this one I liked it because it was really light. And it was like easier to screen print on, easier to modify and stuff like that. But like, I had to go through a few different brands. Like I think there was a couple American ones that I tried. Found a decent supplier. Okay. Yeah.
All right. Well, we're pretty much already almost at the 2-hour mark. Is there anything you want to ask me or anything else you want to chat about?
Oh, that was fun. This was fun. I thought it'd end up being like going on dad mode and just going off on a tangent and just talking about nonsense. That was fun.
No, it's good. All right, well, tell people how to find you and how to find the brand.
So you can find the brand on CRSPapparel.com or my Instagram, which is CRSP.apparel.
Beautiful. All right. Thanks, everyone, and check it out.